God has a plan for your life, but so does the devil. Whose plan are you really living? See, there are two roads, and most of us have been walking the wrong one for so long, it started to feel like home. One road is built of gold bricks, solid, sturdy, purpose, and the other is hot concrete. It's bearable, but it's painful, and somehow we just keep walking. The question I want to ask you today, and the question that changed everything for me, is this. God has a plan for your life, but so does the devil. Which one are you living? I'm Jay. I'm a wife, a woman of faith, and somebody who spent years walking a road that wasn't mine. Not because I didn't know God, but because I didn't know myself the way that God knew me and the way that God saw me. See, Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I ordained you." God knew us before we took our first breath. But here's what nobody told us growing up: the enemy knew us too. He knew the highest version of us, the disciplined version, the consistent, bold, faithful, free version of you. And he made it his mission to make sure you never became that person. I didn't realize until I was grown that the enemy had been working on me since I was a child. See, when you're young, you're oblivious to spiritual war. But oblivious doesn't mean exempt. It makes you a target. I was carrying pain I didn't ask for, shaped by things that happened before I even had the language to name them. And somewhere along the way, I built an entire life around the reality that somebody else constructed for me. And I called it normal. I was performing. I was striving. I was doing things that looked fine on the outside, but I was so far from the path that God had for me that I couldn't even hear his voice anymore. Maybe you know that feeling. The silence where God used to be, the exhaustion of a road that was never yours to walk. But even in that, he was still calling. He never stopped. And one day, I found a plank. That small, narrow bridge between the road I was on and the road God always had for me. And I had to make a decision. Do I stay where it's familiar, or do I step out and trust that God will hold me? I stepped out, and I have never been the same. If you're listening to this right now and something in you recognize that road, if you've been walking something that's bearable but painful, if you've been striving for a life that still feels empty, if you know God has called you to something more, but you don't even know where to start, this is for you. You are not too far gone. The plan that God wrote for you before you were even formed is still there. It never expired. He's not frustrated with you, and he's not done with you. He's just simply waiting on you, patiently, patiently for you to reroute. This is Favor for Favor, a space for people who are ready to stop living beneath what God has already said about them. We're going to get into the word, we're going to have real conversations, and we're going to walk this thing out together because none of us were meant to do this alone. I'm so glad that God brought you here, and I would love for you guys to subscribe, follow along, and let's reroute together. This is only the beginning. Grace given and grace received.